FM News Talk 97.1.
On demand audio.
But I was going to see, as far as all the registering for Florida, where do I get the forms to do that? Or not registering, but voting in Florida for the absentee?
So what you'll have to do is you're going to call into Florida.
Okay.
And call... Let's see. Are you going to do what I think you're going to do?
Well, I mean, if no one's going to know.
You're so weird. Okay. I'm just going to print this out for you.
Yeah, because I have several friends who've done that, and they said that it's no problems. Plus...
But come up with, like, if anyone says this, yeah, I know.
Wow, it sounds like two Valley girls giggle snorting over like they're going to TP someone's house. But in fact, it's a much more serious issue because this is a salaried DNC employee, an OFA volunteer, instructing the videographer, who you also heard, instructing her on how to vote repeatedly, commit voter fraud. Joining me, my friend James O'Keefe with ProjectVeritas.com. This is his latest video, and this is explosive. James, good afternoon to you.
Hey, good afternoon. Thanks for having me on.
Of course, always. So tell us the backstory in this. This is just, I mean, were these offices just like randomly selected? Someone walked in. How did this come to be?
These offices were chosen because they're the locations where we found videographers willing to go in. This individual, this director, is not just she's not a volunteer. She's a paid regional director with the grassroots division of President Obama's reelection campaign, and the director is on tape encouraging our undercover reporter to lie, to make up something in case she gets caught voting via absentee ballot in Florida and also voting in Texas.
Wow. And her response is, oh, this is so funny. It's cool, though. She didn't attempt to, at any point, I think it's like the closest that she came was saying, well, I don't want you to get in trouble at all. That's pretty much the dissuasion that she gave to the videographer.
Yeah, she doesn't want her to get in trouble, but she definitely wants her to do it and to lie about doing it. And, there's a couple different federal statutes that make that a potential crime, and there's state statutes as well. So anything other than saying, don't do this, this is a problem, is very, 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 very problematic. So I think it's an indication of a culture that encourages and fosters vote fraud throughout the country.
And this took place in Houston, where True the Vote and Catherine Engelbrecht, their group down there, discovered that there was rampant voter fraud. And there were a number of houses, for example, where they discovered at one house there was something like 32 registered voters who listed the same address on their voter registration records. And fraud Houston has been very, very problematic in terms of voter integrity, but yet the Department of Justice and the Secretary of State, nobody wants to do anything about it because they say, James, that it doesn't exist. Have they responded at all yet to this video? Because this is even more proof that it in fact does.
They being the establishment forces, no, I guarantee you that they're going to do everything in their power to try to ignore it and downplay it. But the great news about our technique is we catch it on tape, and it's irrefutable. There's nothing they can do to debate what she said. What she said is a problem, and it's only a matter of time until the state government and as well as the Obama campaign are going to be forced to react to it.
Did your videographer get the impression that this is something that this Stephanie Caballero has done before, perhaps?
I would say so. At the very best, she's completely and utterly incompetent, and she doesn't understand what right and wrong is, because she's like, just go ahead and do it. Tell them not to get caught. Who cares? This is the first of a series of tapes. It's not just volunteers. There are other very prominent officials in the campaign that we caught. And like all of our investigations, we're putting this out. We're gauging the media's response, and we may, in fact, kick it up a notch to show that this is widespread. But I don't think that any of these people are doing this for the first time. If you see their reactions, they're perfectly okay with it, not just in that office, but in the other offices in the tape represented as well.
And what do you say? You discussed that there were going to be a series of tapes. So what do you say to those who reply to this and saying, well, this is just one isolated incident, and I'm sure that's all it was. What do you say to those people?
Well, part of holding the campaign election stuff accountable also means holding the media accountable, because throughout Project Veritas's history and my history, reporters have tried to cover up for what we've exposed. So we're releasing one tape at a time, and we challenge journalists to report the facts on this story and not lie like they did, for example, with the Acorn story, and say that it's isolated on the first day.
Right.
This is a story in and of itself. This woman is a director. She's paid by a campaign. She is a regional director in the state of Texas, and her comments are newsworthy and deserve being responded to. So I have to factor in the media when I release these investigations and their complicitness. So that's why we're releasing it one at a time. And as soon as we get our response, then we'll drop the next one.
So, and speaking of the media has how have they responded so far? They seem to me to be skittish, because I think they've kind of learned their lesson after the Acorn situation.
Yes.
But at the same time, they don't know how to. They want the scoop, but they don't know how to take it, because they reacted poorly last time, and they don't want to implicate themselves again. What's the response been?
They're very skittish. It's a very good way of putting it. There's no way they can spin this, and because we did challenge them on this story, if you look at the video, we say, please, journalists, please say that it's isolated. I want you to say that it's isolated. The journalists don't want to give me what I want. So they're like, well, what are we supposed to do? Well, let's just ignore it and not cover it. But the problem with that strategy is that this woman is on tape committing potentially a very serious crime, and there is going to have to be a reaction. Now, it might be sort of done 2 days from now, but when that happens, we'll blow that reaction up and then drop the next one.
Now, could this Stephanie Caballero be charged with a crime, just aiding, even if there was no say even if the videographer didn't actually set out to vote repeatedly, because she aided her? It seems in the video, is that criminal?
Yeah, there are two federal statutes. There's one under United States Code 42, which is pretty strong because it penalizes attempts to deprive residents of a fair election through false voter registration form. There are other statutes. Probably the strongest one is the local Texas law. Provides that if two or more registered voters present affidavits alleging criminal conduct in connection with the election, the county prosecutor has to investigate the matter. So locally there are problems. Federally there are problems. It's unprecedented because no one really does what we do. No one really takes cameras into these places and does these things. But it's likely if the local officials in Texas determine that it's actionable, then there might be some action taken on it.
And by the way, I love that that's what Project Veritas does, is you guys go and report the news and you do investigative work, because there are a lot of big websites out there that think that just simply rewriting Associated Press stories is breaking news, wherein no, that's actually not. This is truly where the battle is. So I appreciate you doing that, because no one would know this. No one would know if it wasn't for individuals like you and Catherine Engelbrecht and so on and so forth. No one would know the extent of voter fraud. And here you have the DNC and OFA propagating it. That's a huge story. That implicates Obama.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Dana. And, one thing that's very important to me is that I'm very passionate about is I don't really have anything else to say but report what I've seen. And our motive is just that our organization is trying to give people facts, and we have an infinite faith in people that if they are just given the truth is manifestly damning. The fact that these people are encouraging this is damning. I don't need to tell you what I think the results should be, because the facts speak for themselves, and I think we need more journalists in this country exposing facts and not trying to tell me what the laws should be. So
right.
We're just going to focus in this investigation on showing people the way it is and how they react to these outrageous illegal voting fraud situations. And I think the only thing they can do is try to ignore it, because it is itself, it's damning what you're seeing on tape.
Absolutely. Well, it very much is. James O'Keefe, ProjectVeritas.com. You can go there to get more information. You can see the video all over the internet, including the Daily Caller. James, keep it up. Don't ever stop. And you always have friends here. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
All right, take care. We'll talk again soon.